In this video, we're going to look at what a psalm tone is and the various parts that make it up. First, I should say I have a bit of a head cold today, so my voice is not in great shape. There will definitely be no singing in this video, and hopefully you can understand what I'm saying. I picked this off of the internet. This is just a picture of the second psalm tone, second tone. I picked this one in particular because it's labeled, and that's what we're talking about today. Not all of the images of psalm tones you find will be labeled. Not all of the ones you find in psalters will be labeled with these parts, but you can usually kind of figure out where everything is if you know a little bit about it. So first of all, we have the introduction or the introit. This is a particular musical figure which will be sung on the first verse of a psalm. Only on the first verse, and even then you don't have to do it. A lot of these things are optional, we're going to find out. But if you want to sort of delineate where the psalm begins, this is a musical figure that is sung at the beginning of the first verse, and that will become obvious as we sing it in later videos. So after the introduction, you get to what's called the tenor. So this says tenor and flex. We'll talk about the flex in a second, but the tenor is the reciting tone. It's the note on which you're going to sing the majority of the psalm. So the idea is you say some words here at the end, or you sing some words in the introit, and then you sing the majority of the line here on the tenor. The tenor is this note that repeats here, here, and then here, and it has an accent on it. That accent is important. But the tenor is the repeating or the reciting tone. After the tenor is this thing called the flex. Let's skip that for now. We will be skipping it in all the videos. I will never do the flex in these videos unless I'm asked to, and we can do a specific video on the flex. But we're going to not worry about the flex and jump over here to what's called the mediant. Now, when we were pointing this psalm, as I hope you remember, at the end of the first half of any particular verse, there was an asterisk in the pointing that we did. This asterisk tells you, or that asterisk tells you where the mediant is. So the mediant is what you sing at the halfway point of any particular verse or stanza in a psalm, depending on how it's arranged. So the idea is you go through the introit, you sing the majority of that first half on the tenor, and then depending on where the accents are, which we've covered in the pointing video, you move to the mediant, and this is the halfway point. This asterisk is the halfway point of any particular verse in a psalm. Now, what is the flex? Well, basically the flex is a way to create some musical interest in the case of very long verses. It's basically a way to make your singing a little bit fancier than it is. I don't do them. I find them to be a little bit confusing and a little bit unnecessary. They are usually not done on every verse, just on some verses, and I find that difficult to remember and somewhat pointless, to be quite honest. I know there are people who would sort of fall over choking if they heard me say that, but I never do the flex. The flex has to do with this accent and these notes here. It returns to the tenor, notice, but generally speaking, when I do a psalm, when I chant a song, I worry about the introit, I worry about the tenor, and I worry about the mediant. So basically, you can just cover all of this up, right? You have the introit, you have the tenor, and that moves to the mediant, and so you just kind of forget about the flex. You could also think about covering it up this way. Either one of those ways works as long as you have the introit and the tenor or the reciting tone. And so in future videos, when I'm going through specific psalm tones, I actually will already have taken them out. I just drop a JPEG or some other picture file into a word processor. I use masking and duplication to sort of move things around, and I get rid of the flex completely. My interest in this video series is to make it as simple and accessible as possible, so the things that I show you in future videos will already have the flex taken out of it. So what we're worried about is the introit, the tenor, and the mediant, right? After the mediant, after that first half of the verse, we return to the tenor or the reciting tone for the majority of the second half of the verse. And then at the end of that verse or stanza, we come to the ending. This says sole ending. There are psalm tones with multiple endings, and that just means you pick one. Some of them are very similar. Some of them are quite different from each other. Some of them have one ending. Some of them have two. Some of them have seven. I don't try to do all of them, right? I just usually pick one and go with it. And then after a while, if I get bored, I will pick another one and learn it. But a lot of times you'll see these psalm tones written with like the line would look like this until here, and then you would have different lines coming down the page as options for endings. Again, in the videos in the future where I go through the psalm tones, I will already have picked an ending and inserted it into the line, and so we can just read the line as it is. So we have the introit, the tenor, and the flex, the mediant, the tenor, back to the tenor, I should say, and then the ending. A lot of times the psalm tones will list how many accents you have, termination of one accent with one preparatory syllable, mediant of one accent. We will talk about multiple accent psalm tones in future videos. This is where we're starting because this is the simplest one, but we will definitely talk about all of that in future videos. This is an alternative version. Some psalm tones have that. Some psalters will list them, some won't. Again, let me just give you full permission to make this as simple as possible by removing all of the unnecessary information. So if you're just learning how to do this and you want to sort of make your own psalm tone notation, drop a file into a word processor and play with it until you have everything taken out that you don't need. All right, hope this is helpful. See you in the next video.